I've been using my Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus for quite some time, and so recently the phone had to give up on me. I don't know why. It didn't really last that long. So I was in the market for something new. I was looking at going maybe for the Samsung Galaxy S10 or something. Then I stumbled upon this phone. This is the Gionee M5. This phone was released in 2014, and man, by that time this phone was the real OG, man. Like a lot of things, a lot of memories right here. So I was like, can I use a 2014 phone in 2019? Will it still work? Will it still give me that buttery smooth experience? Like, can I survive through it? So I decided to pick it up and give it a try. Now, I've had my SIM card inside this thing for like 2 weeks. You know, when I'm in using it, I use it actively. My WhatsApp, my Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all the major apps I use were uploaded on here, and I was using it actively. So today I'm going to let you know what that experience has been. And also we are going to unbox this device and also look at it from the inside. All right. So opening up the pack right here, all the accessories are still very much intact. Now right here is the device itself, which we are going to come to in a second. Then we have a TPU case here, which was like a normal thing that came into inside packets of phones back in the day. Then right here, this is the charger. Now I don't know what the rating of this thing was. I think it didn't really matter as of that time. 10 watts, 15 watts, 20 watts. We just needed a fast charger, so there was no really rating for this thing as far as I officially know. Right here we have the headphones. You know, these are the headphones that comes with the device originally. You know, well, they don't really sound that good. They sound a bit terrible. And then here is the manual, like is this mini manual that used to come inside the box too. You know, a startup guide, the mini startup guide, if that's what I can call it. And then we also have this touch sensitive protector, like this screen protector, but it's a nylon, the touch type. And then we have a SIM ejector tool inside there too. And then as a big thing back in the day, this was a warranty card. I think this practice is still very much in play. Like they take your details, you know, maybe if they have a promo or something, they will log you in so you can win. And then right here is a regular USB 2.0. You know, back then it was uncommon for devices to come with USB-C. Almost every device had a regular USB. And then to one of the biggest things that came inside this device in terms as far as the USB ports are concerned, this was an OTG adapter which will enable you to charge other devices. Now this was one of the things that made this device special back then, because there were not many devices that could charge other devices and still have enough juice left. So this right here was one of the things that made the Gionee M5 a legend. So for the first time on this channel, I decided that, hey, let's look at the device from the inside first. Like, let's open it up and see what this device was made up of. First of all, from the inside, before we start talking about the design externally. Now, one of the things you will notice if you bought this device back in the day, or if you're still using it up till now, like I know most people still do, this device was super heavy. Like, it was one of the legends of this thing is that when you carry it, it's super heavy, and it's because of this battery right here. Like, that battery was the reason why this device was so heavy. The battery occupies like 70% of the entire inside of this phone. You know, it's heavily built, and then down there we have the speaker grills. And the board here, it's very tiny. The board is very tiny, you know. And then this thing has an IR blaster. It has an infrared blaster inside, which you could use to control your TV, your ACs and all that, you know. So the IR blaster just beside the headphone jack right there. Now, I want you guys to let me know, will you like me to be doing tear down videos like this? Will you like to see me open up most of these phones that we review? And then let us all look at them from the inside. I'm really curious. I would really like to know what you think. If you're really interested, or you would like to be seeing contents like this, let me know. Now, as most of you already know, I do a lot of repairs on a daily basis. I open these devices, both laptops and stuff like that. So if you like to see more of tear down and repair videos from me, or you are just interested or curious, you want to see how the inside of these devices are, let me know down in the comments. You know, maybe we could incorporate it as a new part of the channel if you guys are up for it. So at the right side of the device, we have the volume up and down buttons right there. We have a power button, and then a little bit up, we have the micro SD card slot sitting up there. Now, I really like this design. I wish it would have been continued in 2019. I really like the fact that everything, the buttons are all on one side of the device. I mean, I find it easier to use than having the power button on this side and then the volume button on this side. I just like the fact that I can use my thumb to reach out for both of them. Well, maybe that's just me. It could be different for you. Then on the left side, we had nothing. The left side of the device is just empty, except for the fact that you're going to notice a hole there, which is for the dual SIM slots, that the device has. Then just above the device, you're going to find the infrared blaster right there. Then you're going to find the headphone jack, which was not a big debate in 2014. Like, people were not crying over headphone jacks removal. Then also at the bottom, you're going to find the USB 2.0 port, and you're going to find a tiny hole there for that's for the mouthpiece. And then behind the device is totally empty. No fingerprint sensors. Fingerprints were not really a big deal as of 2014, So it didn't come with a fingerprint sensor. If this device came out in 2018 or 2017, definitely you would have had a fingerprint sensor mounted at the back. But there's no fingerprint sensor right here. And then at the back of the device, you see the flashlight there, and then a tiny mouthpiece there. I think that's the one that will enable you if you're recording videos or something. This is the one that's going to catch that audio. Then, as you've already seen from the inside of the device, we have the a single camera lens right here. So what you're going to notice here about the design of this device is that it still carries a very similar rhythm to what we are seeing right now, like what we have been seeing in 2017, 2018, 2019. Mostly 2019 devices are going back to this kind of look, not having anything at the back, no fingerprint sensors anymore. They're moving everything into the display right now. So if you look at the Phantom 9, you look at the Galaxy A50, yes, they might not be as heavy as this because, of course, they don't pack the kind of battery capacity this thing carries. But the design rhythm is the same thing as this device, Straight out of the box, it came with Android 5.1 Lollipop and then with the Amigo UI. And I love this Amigo UI for some reasons and some features that it packed, like the guest mode inside that came with. And then, of course, it came with a lot of bloatwares too, but some of the bloatwares were actually useful, like an application like the Zaza remote that enable you to use the IR blaster to control a lot of things. I really appreciated that. Even after I put my SIM inside this thing in 2019, I still found myself using most of those features. They were quite useful. Also, it's running on the MediaTek 6735 processor. Now, a lot of devices in 2019 are still using this chipset, just as I found out. Like, it was surprising, During my usage process, this processor really ran smooth, but I just had a few glitches here and there. I've been used to my S8, that is a flagship device, and the experience is always better than even the best budget device. So I wasn't really able to complain that much. It could still take me. And then as for the internal storage, you could get a 32 gigabyte version that has 3 gigabytes of RAM, or you could still get a 16 gigabyte version that had 3 gigabytes of RAM. And then, of course, as you must have noticed, it has an SD card slot, which is expandable to 256 gigabytes. The cameras were not really the main focus of this device, so I didn't really bother much looking at the cameras, but I took a couple of photos right there for you to see. The back camera is just a 13 megapixel sensor, which could shoot 1080p videos at 30 frames per second. Then the one in front is just a 5 megapixel sensor that could shoot 720p videos at 30 frames per second. The cameras might not be really that high, but the photography experience is still pretty decent, It's something you can still use. One of the biggest thing about this device, one of the biggest selling point about this device is that battery. I mean, in 2014, this device packed a 6,020 milliamp hour battery. Like, there were not many devices that could withstand it, even up to this day, man. Like, I used the Tecno Povo 3, and I used this phone side by side. I did a battery test. I'm going to show you guys that video later on and tell you what the results are. But this phone did not have a rival, and it still doesn't have a rival up till today, like in terms of battery. The battery of this thing, in case you didn't know, the M stands for marathon. So it was a well thought out design. It was the legend of Gionee. Like, everybody that talked about Gionee was like, I want to buy that phone that has very good battery. One thing they were known for was battery. Even up till this point, their phones still have very good battery. Now, in 2019, I charged this thing up in the house and I leave the house. I go to work. stay all day at work, come back home. Sometimes I still don't charge it, and then I go again the next day. Which it will take me up to maybe half of the day, around maybe 2 or 3 p.m. in the afternoon or 4 p.m. That's when the battery might finally give up. Now, mind you, I am not an average user. I am a chronic user. Like, I'm always on my phone. I work on my phone. I send messages. I do WeChat. I do Facebook. I reply messages from you guys on YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTube videos. Like, this device is always active when I was using it, or since my SIM was inside, it was an active device every minute. And for the battery to carry me for almost 2 days without charging tells you one thing. Most of the devices in 2019 that claim to have 5,000, 6,000 milliamp hour batteries don't last as good as this. I have tried a couple of them out. So this device was the real OG. That's why even in 2019, a lot of people are still using this phone. Now I understand the reason why. So one of the biggest part of this device for me that made me feel like this device was way ahead of its time was this display. Now it's a 5.5 inches display with a 720p resolution with a Corning Gorilla Glass 3. For the fact that it had a 720p resolution was not a deal breaker for me. I mean, we are talking about 2014, 2015 here. Most of the devices then didn't even come with a 720p resolution. So here was a device in 2014 when devices were still, budget phones were still trying to find their rhythm, coming with a Super AMOLED display, And the display was pretty decent. You could play some games with it, I tried out a couple of games. Even 2019 games, they still worked pretty good. I played some videos and it still worked. It still worked awesomely well. It's an AMOLED display, don't forget that. After all, in 2019, Apple is still giving us the iPhone 11 coming in with a 720p resolution, and you are paying almost $750 or $700 for it. But surprisingly, under sunlight, it was a bit difficult to use this phone. This AMOLED panel didn't really perform well under the sun, But I mean, again, you can't really complain. This phone was from 6 years ago. Even most of the Tecno, Infinix, and Itel phones that use LCD displays with better graphic processors inside can't be used under the sun like in 2019. I complained about those in my previous review videos. So if this one from 2014 with a 720p resolution still has the same issue, I don't think we'll really complain that much. I mean, but as of then, all these things I'm complaining about now, they were not really a big deal. People really didn't look at them. Even most tech reviewers didn't even notice much of these things, So guys, the only downside about using this device was that this device wasn't really fast enough for me. Like, I found myself tapping the screen more than once or twice, like over and over for it to respond to commands. It's not like it wasn't responding. It wasn't just processing that fast. And I'm used to the fact that whenever I touch my phone, it just responds. I don't have to wait for 2 seconds or 3 seconds for it to close WhatsApp and switch over to my phone app, or to close Facebook and switch over to Instagram and stuff like that. So those were the challenges I faced. It was just in the software aspect. The software is a bit slow, but every other thing worked super well. Now, when I mean slow, it's not like it was scrolling. For an ordinary user, for an average user, it works just fine. It's just that I am used to the fact that I am used to flagship phones that are super fast, so that's the reason. But let me ask you guys, will you use this phone in 2019? Let me know down in the comments, all right? And kindly subscribe and hit that notification and bell icon so that you'll be the first to know when I upload a new video, all right? Thank you so much, guys. And don't forget to come hang out with me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And I'll see you again in the next one.